Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little subscribe button at the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, click that subscribe button. Really does help our channel grow, our audience grow, and I really do appreciate it more than you know. So click that subscribe button. Appreciate your support. Now, here's the video that you came here for. If you had to buy stock in one college athletics program the next decade, who would it be? Great. That's a great question. That is a great question. Let me say this. So the way that I perceive this question, buy stock, right? And this is pretty cliche, but let's call it what it is. You're not going to buy a blue chip stock because it's hard to imagine it getting much better. So we can eliminate the Ohio States, we can eliminate the Texases, we can eliminate, Kentucky basketball. I mean, I guess you could buy Kentucky because you say the football team probably is going to get better, depending on who may or may not be coaching them next year in 2026. But I think for the most part, those brands are pretty well established. And I think I would say at this point, most of the Big Ten and the SEC are pretty established. Like, I don't think there's somebody that's going to make a major move up the pecking order in the Big Ten, right? Like, I don't think we're going to look up tomorrow and Minnesota. I know PJ Fleck just got an extension, but I don't think they're going to be like the best team in the Big Ten, right? And so to me, when I look at stock, when I look at buying a stock that might be a little low that in theory could improve, I'd probably go to the Big 12 because to me, Big 10, SEC, pecking order in football, basketball, even baseball in the SEC is pretty set. The ACC, it feels to me like football. I don't think anybody is like magically just getting better than Clemson anytime in the future. Same with basketball. Duke's always going to be there. Carolina, if they're not good this year, they're going to find a new coach. Otherwise, they're going to be good. So I would go to the Big 12. And I think the easy answer in the Big 12, at first, your first glance would be, well, it's Texas Tech, right? Spending a ton of money, $1 million softball pitcher, Felix Ojo, who we talked about earlier in the week. And if that's your answer, I don't think it's the wrong one. I think Texas Tech is going to be a player in this league going forward in every sport that they care about. Whatever the amount of money that's legally allowed to be spent is, they're going to be at the top of that food chain. But I'm going to go in a little bit of a different direction as far as teams that I think are on an upward trajectory, a program that I think is on an upward trajectory that I don't think is getting enough credit, or I don't think people realize exactly what's going on. To me, the answer is the BYU Cougars, baby. That's right. Torres is a little bit Cougar crazy. Torres is Cougar crazy. What can I say? So BYU, I think, to me is an interesting one because, first of all, when I think about if I had to buy stock in a team, I think there's something I think about, and I thought about this. I thought about what I thought about was this. Let me reset my brain here. Was last summer, it was actually around this time, I want to say it was like late July, early August. We had Kevin Young, the BYU coach, basketball, on the show for the first time. We've had him on since. We visited him in Provo, blah, 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 whatever. But I bring it up because I remember asking him, I said, look, there's this perception that the only reason you guys are having success in recruiting is because of NIL. And what he said was, I thought he gave a great answer. I probably should have had the clip pulled, but it's okay. He basically said, look, in my opinion, there's 3 reasons that we are having success in recruiting and why I believe in this team and this program going forward. He said, 1, listen, NIL is certainly a factor. He said, I'm not going to deny it. I'm not going to pretend. I'm not going to whatever. Our school takes good care of us. Our boosters take good care of us. Our collective takes good care of us. And I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but you get the point. He said for basketball specifically, he said the second part of it was, I come from the NBA. As we referenced earlier, this isn't quote unquote hypothetical. That was his phrase. It's not hypothetical. I know what I'm doing. I've coached Kevin Durant. I coached Devin Booker, excuse me. I interviewed for NBA head coaching jobs. I'm here because I want to be here and because I believe in this place, but also I have a track record that is attracting players to this program. But he said third, and this is the part that to me is important, is that being in the Big 12 certainly helps, right? And I don't want to put words in Coach Young's mouth, but I'm guessing he probably wouldn't be at BYU if they were still in the WCC for basketball and independent in football. I'm guessing the boosters wouldn't be as willing to give in sports if they were still in the WCC. And so to me, I think we're just starting to scratch the surface of the potential of what BYU can be. And I think we're now starting to see the dividends that get paid with the investment and with the move to the Big 12. Listen, we've talked enough about basketball, so let's focus on football for a second. I think, first of all, I think it's kind of understated how good football was even during a time when they were independent. You go back, and it's funny, I was looking back at this, is that you look at what BYU did even during independence. This was, since Kalani Sitake took over, he was there from 2016 on. Let's do this math really quick here. In 7 years as an independent, 3 9-win seasons, a 10-win season, and an 11-win season. And it's not like, even though they were independent, they were playing nobodies. Like, think about this. The 2021 season, BYU finishes with 10 wins, okay? This is who they beat. They beat Arizona. They beat Utah. They beat Arizona State. They beat Virginia. They beat USC, okay? And oh, by the way, I know they're not in a power conference now. Washington State was in a power conference at that point. So they were beating power conference teams even before they got into the Big 12. And now you're seeing what happened last year where they won 11 games. And now, and this is the important part, recruiting is just So shout out to Minty, who runs our Tours on BYU page. You can find it right there on the screen, Tours on BYU. He sent me a note, kind of a thing of where BYU is recruiting right now in football. And here's the crazy part. I think if I ask the average fan, hey, like, who is the top rated recruiting? Who's the top rated recruiting class in the Big 12 in football? I think most people would probably default to Texas Tech. Like, hey, they got Felix Ojo, whatever. It's actually BYU. BYU right now, coming off an 11-win season, has the number 1 recruiting class in the Big 12. We talked about Ryder Lyons, 5-star quarterback, committed a few weeks ago on Pat McAfee, over Oregon, over USC. I think USC was kind of out of the picture by the end. But I bring it up because they got a 5-star quarterback over Oregon. Not bad. Now, he's going on a mission trip, so he's not going to be playing for a year or two, but 5-star quarterback you don't say no to. On top of that, think it's worth noting, 4-star tight end in the state, Brock Harris, chose BYU, committed to BYU over Georgia, Miami, Michigan, and Oregon. Not bad. 4-star offensive lineman committed to BYU over Oregon, among others. And so I bring it up because, in theory, this 11 wins a year ago in the Big 12, it's only the beginning of what could happen on this campus in football. I'll say this, when we were on campus a few weeks ago, we took a little tour of Lavelle Edwards Stadium. Producer Matt and I, may have let ourselves in. That's going to be a tough place to play for anybody. In the mountains, 65,000, loud place. I just think things are going really well right now. And I think they are controlling. I think they are recruiting as well as anybody in that league, coming off a great year. By the way, dominating in a state that actually produces probably more high school football players than most people realize. I think it's also worth noting Utah is kind of in a weird transition of Kyle Whittingham. How much longer is he going to be there? Utah right now, by the way, cover your ears, Utes fans, or get mad at me in the comments because I know you're going to. But 47th ranked class nationally and 8th in the Big 12. All the good players in Utah are going to BYU. So I just bring it up. Yeah, and by the way, and I know what everyone's going to say. It's early. We'll see what happens. It's a long time till signing day, whatever. I'm just telling you, BYU has the number 1 class in the Big 12, top 20 nationally. That's all I'm telling you. Basketball, I think obviously the presumed success speaks for itself. Coming off the first Sweet 16 appearance since 2011 this past year. You have AJ DeBonsa. You have Richie Saunders. And I think what's interesting about BYU, kind of become the cool school in recruiting. I remember when I was out there a few weeks ago, we were talking about this, is that I think when that staff got to campus a year or two ago, the whole thing was like, basically, it was hard to recruit. Let me put it that way. Then you get Yegor Demon. Now he's a lottery pick. You get not only AJ DeBonsa, but Rob Wright, I think, is an all Big 12 type player. And I just don't think that program is slowing down anytime soon, especially if they can build off the success of last year. It was funny. I remember talking to somebody while we were out there, and it's like just getting AJ DeBonsa opens doors that you could have never imagined. You're playing UConn in Boston. You're playing Villanova on opening night in Vegas, game that I hope to be at. You're playing at Madison Square Garden. So I just bring it up because football seems to be on an upward trajectory. Basketball seems to be on an upward trajectory. And this is a program that hasn't been in a power conference for very long. So as they get more acclimated, I don't think they're slowing down anytime soon.